This evening we have some members of the Scout Troop. I can't remember the number because I didn't write it down, but from St. Peter's Church. And one of the scouts is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll say the prayer. So, young man, if you want to step up here and help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, that'd be great. He gets bonus points for doing this too.
Hold on, let's get the picture clear.
Go ahead. You start and we'll finish.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. Be with us now as we discuss and work on the city's business. We would pray and ask that you grant us favor as a city with blessings of peace and prosperity. Look over our police force and our city staff. Keep them safe as they labor for the benefit of our city. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We're missing a couple council members tonight, so the three of us will carry on. First on the list is to approve the agenda. I entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if staff could request one addition to the city council, my apologies for the surprise on this. Usually I'm pretty good at letting you know right before the meeting, but we have an issue regarding a pipeline that runs through one of our residential subdivisions, and we'd like to have a discussion with the city council about that item and a contract that our legal team's been working on. So if we could add agenda item I-9, and we'll just call that Big Orange Pipeline Agreement.
Okay.
And we do have some information that we will present to you at that time.
Very good.
So my apologies again for the late notice.
That's fine. Keeps us on our toes. That's good. Okay, with that addition, I would seek approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Brent approves.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda's approved. Citizen comments. This evening, we'll allow anyone that wants to come up and speak. You've got 3 minutes, please. Sign your name and your address. We don't ask for your social security or information, anything like that, but just please put your name and address on the form, and we're more than happy to have you come up and address the council. So.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff, I'm Rand Renard. I live right across the alley at 127 North Cedar Street. I come to express a concern regarding the public events that we have along Main Street in Linear Park, which I fully support because they bring in a great deal of business and goodwill to the community. But I also have a serious concern regarding those events. And that is the lack of respect that the attendees have for the property owners in the vicinity. After every event, and most notably the summer events, we spend significant time cleaning up the trash and garbage that's left in our property, especially along First Street and along Cedar. That seems to be the two main streets that seem to get the most, because that's where the most traffic is. We also have, in almost every event, access to our property blocked because people don't respect our driveways. And there's just a general disregard for our property by the attendees of the events. I don't have a good solution. I hate to come to you with a complaint without a solution. I don't know if it's the chief getting more support from the police department to patrol that area. I don't know what it is. We brought it up. My wife and I brought it up a couple of times to other members of the council, and they say, well, the city can't come on our property to help clean up. But the 3 houses that are most affected by it are all occupied by older people like myself. And we can't be out there cleaning up the stuff that other people leave there all the time. So I request that you come up with some sort of an idea of how to help this situation. I don't know if it's more trash cans, if it's just asking people, I don't know if that'll do any good. But we need some sort of solution to that. I really want to see the events continue, but I really don't want to have to continue to clean up my property for other people's garbage. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can't be as well as my husband, but mayor, city councilman, city staff, chief, I'm here tonight. I have two questions. First of all, I'm one of those people that thinks that maybe we should have a street sign at the beginning of Main Street off of Kellogg. I do understand from our senior forum, Mayor Lee came and talked, and that was one of the questions that was raised, and he said there was a KDOT thing that had to be approved. But I'm wondering if we can't just have a city sign like the other green signs that I see coming to turn onto Oak, to turn onto 199 off of Kellogg. That's all I'm asking for tonight. And the other thing I'm hoping will be addressed as far as the apartments being built on the Genesis property. I noticed that it requires moderate income housing, and I'm just wondering I'm hoping that the definition of moderate income will be addressed. Okay, that's all I have, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Even now I know you didn't take it down.
You get that okay?
Oh, God, I think I got it.
All right, very good, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak this evening? All right, we'll close citizen comments then and move on to the next agenda item. This time I'd like to give the council a chance to declare any conflicts of communication that they might have had this last 2 weeks that might have an impact or influence their ability to consider any of today's agenda items impartially. No. It's 3 no's. So we'll leave it at that. Appointments and proclamations.
If you can just, I only have one slide, if you just want to continue to the next one. So tonight I have the pleasure and the honor to promote an individual from within the department. Previously Detective Chris Poirier, if you come up here please. He was hired here a little over a year ago as a detective and started here with us and has been extremely successful. I communicate with you guys and city staff quite a bit. Everyone knows Chris, and I was ready to take away this detective badge and put on the sergeant badge, just because where we stand with our future and growth, this is a move that needed to be made. So tonight, tonight I will give this to his wife, and she can have the honor of pinning this onto her husband.
Just trying to hide back there.
I'll let you take that one, and I'll take this old one off. There you go. I'll have you stand right here, and I'll have you act like you're putting it on again, okay? There we go. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yep.
Sergeant, congratulations. Let me be the first one to publicly call you Sergeant. Congratulations. We appreciate all your efforts, as well as all the staff. But congratulations. We're really happy to have you with us. Thank you. Appreciate your work. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Item G. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Brent. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Terry usually likes me to repeat those, but with just the two of us, we're probably pretty good tonight. Okay, very good, thanks. Moving on. We have no unfinished business. Okay, we'll start with item I, public hearing for ordinance establishing an RHID for gutter public apartments.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present to you this evening the first item of new business. A little bit of background. We first started talking about this item late summer, early fall in 2023. RHID, it's an incentive program designed to assist in development of certain housing projects. It captures the incremental increase in real property taxes created by a housing development project for up to 25 years. The revenue can be used for reimbursement for incurred costs or to pay debt service on bonds. And the program allows the city to reimburse the developer for eligible costs incurred during the development of specific tracts of land identified by the governing body as ideal for future housing. A few steps here. Step 1 requires the housing needs analysis, which this indicates a shortage of affordable housing types in our community. For this project specifically, we consider the shortage, lack thereof, of Class A apartments. Did some double checking, but to our knowledge, not only is there not a single Class A apartment complex in our community, but the entire school district as well, which goes all the way to Central and Tyler, to the airport, to Lake Afton. So within that whole area, there's a few garden style, older apartments, but there's no new apartment complexes or Class A apartments as we call them. So clearly a shortage. Step 2, in September of 2023, the governing body adopted a resolution creating the geographical RHID district, the boundary that is. Then we sent off the housing needs analysis and that resolution to the State of Kansas Department of Commerce for approval by the Secretary of Commerce. And in October, the State of Kansas sent a letter of approval. Step 4 was completed on President's Day. That was Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, when the Council adopted another resolution which established a development plan for the Goddard Apartments development. It's a 108-unit Class A apartment complex. I said near 199th and 1st Street. I've seen it say 199th and 3rd in other areas. It's in that area. It's in the Starbond district. Sometimes I get those streets a little confused still. My apologies. The resolution approved in Step 4 set tonight's public hearing. The purpose of this agenda item is to process Step 5, which includes conducting a public hearing in consideration to adopt the ordinance attached in Exhibit A, authorizing the RHID and the project. The ordinance concurrently authorizes the development agreement, the Moderate Income Housing Grant Agreement, and the Moderate Income Housing Grant Cooperative Agreement. There were some questions during citizens' comments about the definition of moderate income. I don't have it memorized, but I would be happy to provide it to anybody who asks at a later time. This is a look at the apartments. Again, these are Class A apartments, which means several different things. One has to do with the age, others has to do with the quality of the apartments as well as the height of them, 2 stories or more. Should the City Council conduct a public hearing tonight and adopt the ordinance attached to Exhibit A, the project would be able to commence after May 1st. The Sedgwick County Board of Commissioners are working on an RHID policy to assist them in considering their veto authority for projects utilizing RHID. To allow the Board of County Commissioners additional time to get their policy approved and review the many documents in the city's RHID project, the City Council could consider opening the hearing, recessing it until the April 15th City Council meeting, and then closing the public hearing during the April 15th Council meeting, which would then extend the veto period to May 15th for the Board of County Commissioners. Once the public hearing is closed, the City Council will consider adopting the resolution attached in Exhibit A. There is a small publication fee. The legal team has approved it to form. Kevin Cowan with Gilmore & Bell, our bond counsel, is here this evening to help answer any of the more technical questions. Now just a couple thoughts to also share. The city staff as well as Mayor Lead, we've been working pretty hard with having conversations with the county and other community stakeholders about this project. We spent some time at the Board of County Commissioners meeting 2 Wednesdays ago, where we provided comments to the dais about the different merits of our project and our HID. This is not a real new program, but it's relatively new in this area because the statutes changed a year ago, which opened it up to where more municipalities could use it. And so it's something that the county is playing a little catch up on. They want to have a policy in place so when they have more applications coming behind ours, they can kind of have some different guidelines that they want to look at as they consider these projects. So they have 2 options. One is to do nothing, the other is to veto. However, to our knowledge, no county in the state of Kansas has ever vetoed an RHID project that came before them. So pretty excited about this opportunity to fill a need. I think from a merit perspective, there's lots of that in the project. We would like to give our Goddard graduates an opportunity to live in our community after they graduate. I know oftentimes we always want to say, let's send them off and go see the world. That's great, but we love them to be able to come back and have a place that they can afford to stay. Not a lot of folks at that point in their life are able to afford a brand new house or even a duplex. So this would give those folks an opportunity. All that being said, I would like to offer the opportunity to the City Council to ask me questions of City staff as well as Kevin Cowan, our bond counsel.
Well, you know, based on our conversations with Sedgwick County, you know, I would like to go ahead and open the hearing, but then move to recess it. I think at this point, giving an additional 2 weeks to the county will hopefully be beneficial for them, and then we're not creating the appearance that we're trying to bull rush something past them. But I don't think past this 2 weeks that we'll extend beyond this. I think as part of that discussion, hopefully that was made clear that we weren't going to wait 6 months to move on this. But so I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing. So I need a motion.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now the chair will make a motion to recess the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Well, do we need to allow public comment, or we do that on the 15th?
We should allow public comment, if there is any.
Okay, that's fine.
You open the hearing?
We open the hearing. Close it too. We'll reopen it in 2 weeks. Save your comments till then. We might remember them better then. Anyone, please, I'm just being facetious. I'm just new at this, a couple months, I'm just doing it like everybody else. Any comments? Hearing that, I will, from the chair, make a motion to recess the public hearing until April 15th, 2024, convening at 7 p.m. here in the council room. Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next item.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, same project here for discussion. This one is considering an intent resolution which would signal the city's intention to issue industrial revenue bonds to assist in funding the Goddard Apartments project. The IRB issuance would also provide a sales tax abatement for the cost of the construction. It will not provide a property tax exemption due to the intended use of the RHID. You can't play with the taxes twice, only once. So if we do the RHID, we can't do the property tax abatement on the IRB, but we can provide the sales tax exemption certificate so they have an ability to do the construction costs free of sales taxes. There are some legal fees involved. It's approved as to form. Again, Kevin Cowan with Fillmore and Bell here to assist as needed. At that time, now I will take any questions.
This doesn't in any way interfere with the other part of the previous motion. I mean, we can go ahead and take care of this tonight without any complications. So basically then, the money And what we're doing here is allowing for sales tax exemption.
So they pretty much get like a sales tax exemption certificate, so when they go acquire costs for the project, it's sales tax exempt, sales tax rate 8.5%. So they give about as a 8.5% discount.
Okay, so I make a motion to move to adopt the intent of the resolution seen in Exhibit A attached.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It'll be resolution 2412.
Mayor and City Council, this is item I3. This is the Jam Sound Wave Special Event Permit. So, A Production Company LLC has submitted special event permit for the Jam event that is also they like to have on private properties and the city limits is honored. The Jam event is expected to have around 67,000 people attend the event from July 19th through July 21st, section July 21st on 20th. Hours of operation will be from 11 a.m. through 11:59 p.m. Since there will be amplified sound, the City Council needs to approve a sound waiver for the event. We're also asking for a special event permit so that there is a certain amount of liability coverage for the city. City Council is reviewing a special event permit for the Jam event in the sound waiver ordinance. Once mentioned, as previously mentioned, July 19th will be actually July 21st. Time is 11 a.m. to 11:59. The event location is east of 183rd across from Walmart, north of the trail, south of US 54. The live bands, car show, and camping with event RVs. The sound waiver necessary for amplified sound is in excess of 150 feet. This is a map outlining where the Jam is going to be located. Out west is further north, Walmart's over here, Murphy's gas right around this area over here. Financially, there will be a small cost associated with adoption of the ordinance. Legally, it's approved as a form of Robert Court and all Morris Lane. It is recommended City Council vote one, waive the reading of the ordinance before spelling, and two, approve the ordinance and special event permit for the Jam event, pending liability insurance that we will be receiving from the applicant. We do have C.J. Wilson representing Jam. If you have any questions for her, at this point we'll entertain any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, general information.
Quiet group of your questions. I just appreciate in the discussions that have taken place between the city staff and your organization, your willingness to try to work with us to come up with a place, providing insurance, and pushing the time back to 11:59. For my father's admonition as a child, always be home with it, or I'd turn into a pumpkin or something. But I think that hopefully this provides an opportunity for our citizens and the community, and it'll be something that will become an annual occurrence. That's my general comment. Any other questions? Or I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance, or waive the reading of the ordinance. We gotta do that first.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
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 Roll call vote.
I need a motion and a second to approve the ordinance special event.
Okay. You need to first
Make a motion
do
to
that.
approve the ordinance of special event permit for the Jam event,
Subject to liability insurance from the applicant.
subject to liability insurance.
Very good.
And I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now the roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer,
Yes.
gonna be ordinance 954.
954, thank you very much. You guys want to say those items? Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
This is item I4, this is special event permit and sound ordinance for the Pathway Car Show. So Brad Crow Pathway Church has submitted an application for a special event permit to close Main Street and utilize Linear Park for car show and live band event. Since they will be utilizing Linear Park, a special event permit is required and liability insurance. They will also need approval from the city council to waive the sound requirements if they will have amplified sound greater than 150 feet. We would like to hold the event on June 23rd, which is a Sunday. City Council is reviewing a special event permit for use of Linear Park and street closure of Main Street for a car show. The event date is June 23rd, time is between 9 and 3 p.m. Main Street closed, will be closed from Santa Fe the 2nd. Use of linear park, live bands and grilled food. Sound waiver necessary for the amplified sound. This is a map showing where the location is. They will be using linear park around this area. They are asking to close Santa Fe over here. Here, and here. I spoke with the police chief last week about this, and he recommended closing the alley so that people won't come down the alley to cop this area over here. So we'll be putting up a blockade over here as well.
I say access to the garage.
So there will be small costs associated with adoption of the ordinance, legally exclude as form of Robert Cortlandell and Morris Lane. It is recommended City Council waive the reading of the ordinance and then approve the ordinance and special event permit for traffic adoption.
We'll figure out the garage thing. The other thing I think we'll figure out too is the trash. Whatever it takes.
Well, anybody who has access to the alley, of course, can get in and out.
But I just mean the trash after the event, before the event, so that the citizens on Cedar and that surrounding area aren't having to deal with that. We need to figure it out. We'll figure it out. That's not, it won't be a problem. If I've got to go over and help y'all, you can sit on the porch and I'll pick the trash.
That's not the point.
No, I know it isn't, but the point is we're gonna fix it. That's my point, so.
I make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
I second that.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance for the special event permit for the pathways.
I second that. I second the motion.
Motion seconded, voice vote,
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
yes.
Councilmember Trailer,
Yes.
the ordinance 955.
9:55, thank you very much, I appreciate it. This is I-5, this is Rusty Creek Phase 2 petitions for improvement. So this is the first of 3 steps to be taken by the City Council for the authorization of the improvement for the second step being the consideration of a resolution authorizing the solicitation of bids for the issuance of general obligation temporary notes. The final steps will be resolution ratifying the temporary note sale authorized in the second step. The background financial legal considerations will be presented as a single item under item 8, it's actually 1.5, with analysis and recommendation action sections delineating each resolution consideration. The authorization resolutions do several things, but the consideration of improvement authorizing resolutions can be taken as a single motion with voice vote occurring after a motion and second, which I'll lead you through all of them, of course. I know there's a lot of steps going on here, but don't worry, I'll lead you through it. During the approval of petitions for Phase 1, the developer also submitted, and the city accepted petitions for Phase 2 and Phase 3 improvements, and petitions submitted Phase 1 also feature improvements in Phase 2 and possibly Phase 3. This means that the property owners will go through multiple rounds of assessment proceedings. We'll discuss that a little bit as well when we have a calendar bond council. Our bond council has advised us that even though they cannot protest since lots were committed before the ownership, the realtor should be notified the owners. We would show good faith to send letters to them to let them know that they'll be going through simple assessment proceedings. Total petition cost is around 1.1 million. The resolution finds petition sufficient to authorize the project and issuance of bonds to construct improvements to future bond issuance under the special assessment statutes. Additionally, at the time of submission of the petition, the sole property owner within the proposed improvement district under KSA 12-6804, the property owners requested no public hearing notice was given. The portion of the cost of improvements between the improvement district and city at large will be assessed 100% against the improvement district, 0% to be paid by the city at large. In the event all or part of lots or parcels in the improvement district are replatted, the owner of a single lot is only divided into 2 or more parcels, the assessment shall be calculated or recalculated on the basis of the method of assessments that will appear after the resolutions. This is what you guys will be looking at. This is a stormwater drain petition for $368,000. There's a water distribution system for $195,000. There's $413,000 for paving, and there's $74,000 for sanitary sewer improvements. In accordance with KSA 12, there are no direct costs to the city from the adoption of the resolution, as the entire project cost will be borne by the benefiting property inside the petition. There is a small publication cost associated with adoption of the resolution. The documents have been drafted by City Bond Council from Calvin and Gilmore Down, reviewed by City Financial Advisor Brett Shogren and Stephen Nichols. It is recommended the City Council approve the resolutions authorizing the funding of improvements to the bonds and special assessments. We will go through this, there's 4 of them, but before that, I want to go ahead and invite Kevin Cowan up. I do want to invite Eric Glover Garber as well, if you want to come up. Yeah, agent for applicant. Feel free. Kevin Cowan's our bond counsel. Eric represents agent for the applicant. So if you guys have any questions for him at this time, feel free. If you have questions about the assessments of how it's going to be impacting Phase 1, feel free to ask as well.
Maybe you just give us a little background.
Yeah,
Because this is a little different than I think the
Right.
normal situation, but maybe you just kind of help us understand.
Sure. So Kevin Cowan with Gilmore Bell, City's Bond Counsel. This is not an unusual thing for the city council to consider and to take action on. It happens all the time, as we've seen the last number of years. What is a little unique is the way this played out with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, potentially. All of those petitions were submitted, very strange time, summer of 2020.
COVID.
City accepted those, nothing else happened in connection with those petitions. Frequently, when you receive petitions, you will immediately take this step, adopt the resolutions. Those resolutions are then recorded of record so that anybody that is dealing in that property will have notice this property is subject to special assessments and will identify the specific resolutions. So that didn't happen. The phase 1 resolutions were considered and adopted in early 2021. So it was about 8 months later. I prepared those petitions. We have those benefit districts in place. You just went through the assessment proceedings for those projects, and now the developer is moving on to phase 2. And so, again, the weird part, as I'll call it, is that I think at a different time, and certainly in the future, if you receive petitions for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, we'll do resolutions for all of those and get that set in place. I'll make an attempt, and the engineer representative can probably do a better job than I can as to the phasing and why it's important to submit all of those at the same time. But I think it's so the developer has some certainty. There are some pretty complicated calculations that if we proceed at this pace and do these improvements, drainage improvements are a good example that will benefit the entire development. How do we time it and phase it so that we don't have a lot of property owners paying only a drainage assessment for a number of years before other phases will then proceed, and also in connection with some of the calculations, how do we make sure that all of the properties that at the conclusion of all the phases will have an assessment that's substantially similar for drainage, street, sewer, and water. So that's part of the phasing. And you know, the developer could have submitted one petition for everything all at once, but that's difficult for the city to determine what do we have to proceed with in terms of infrastructure. Do we build this out immediately for all, is it 108 lots? 105 lots, and that's just not how it works because it takes longer to build things out. So again, some of this is just the timing. The phasing is not unusual. What is unusual is we're taking up phase 2 resolutions now, 3+ years after they were submitted. And as Micah mentioned, this is all perfectly legal. Once you receive those petitions and accept them, property owners can't remove names, they can't withdraw the petitions. At that point, it's as if the city is considering those petitions, and in this case, again, it's taken some time. My concern is more practical, and you all will understand this. We've just gone through phase 1 assessment. You may have property owners that receive notice of what that assessment is. They may acquire a lot next month, and they'll know, okay, there are these assessments because the city's gone through those proceedings and those are established. 3 years from now, maybe get another small drainage assessment and wonder what's going on. And I think it may prove advisable if we give them notice now, if they have any questions now, and I'm talking about current property owners.
Sure.
Once these resolutions are adopted, they'll get recorded, so a future property owner will see all of this in their title work. But if you already own it and you have seen what your assessments are going to be, and then you get this notice in the mail from the city in 3 years that says there's another assessment, you're going to wonder what's going on. And again, maybe just some sort of simple notice to the same property owners that we just sent notice to on these phase 1 assessments to explain what's going on. If they want to come to a meeting in the next month or so, I think it'll be easier to talk about than just sort of out of the blue, to them anyway, in 3 years. So I'll stop there. If you have any questions of me, or if you want to hear Eric, if he has anything to add.
I know this maybe it's unusual for Goddard, but this is a tool. I've been designing residential subdivisions for 24 years now, and this is something we do a lot. It gives some flexibility to the design, plus, you know, if lots are slow to sell, the developer isn't paying specials on. And I've had projects where we've had as many as 3 stormwater drain projects through the life of the project. This will add approximately $20 a month to their special assessments in 3 years. We provided that information to the developer. That includes all of the assessments. Now, did that get disseminated to the realtor correctly, and did that get disseminated to the other realtors? That I can't tell you, but that is information that the developer had ahead of time. We do our best to balance specials. The way this one works out, the phase 1 will by far be the cheapest phase. So even though they're getting another $20, our calculations show they're still going to be $50 less per month than phase 2. So they're still getting a pretty good deal.
Hopefully 3 years from now we'll remember this. We'll start coming in and asking questions. But, so in terms of making notice, Craig, I mean, is that just a letter we'll send out then?
Yes, Micah's department will take care of that.
Questions? You're good? You're good?
Make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the water distribution system improvements for Rustic Creek Phase 2.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 1 down. Number 2, take turns.
I make a motion, for the resolution authorizing sanitary sewer improvements for Rustic Creek Phase 2.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. And I make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing paving improvements for Rustic Creek Phase 2.
I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I make a motion for the resolution authorizing storm sewer improvements for Rustic Creek Phase 2.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Micah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, currently our city code bans the consumption of alcohol on public property. So beginning in 2016, the city allowed limited and temporary consumption of alcohol for all adults during a brief window of time for Goddard gathering, concerts, or special events. And I'm proposing an ordinance that will allow consumption of alcohol by legal age adults on Saturday, April 6th for the Lions Club Car Show event between the hours of 11 and 4 p.m. and on April 14th, 2024 between the hours of 2 and 5 for the Main Street Market. The ordinance takes effect upon publication in the Times Sentinel newspaper. There's a small publication fee associated with the publication in the Times and the official paper of record. The legal has been approved as to form. So it's recommended the City Council waive the reading of the ordinance and then adopt the ordinance by roll call vote.
Questions, comments?
Well, so this would mean that people would be on Main Street with open containers all up and down?
This one doesn't specify. We have not approved a temporary permit. Well, we have approved a temporary permit for the car show. Right now they are proposed to sell, and is CJ here? She's not. They propose sell and consumption of alcohol will be in the linear park. I think what you're referring to is maybe the temporary permit for
Markets?
the Main Street markets. And we have not considered that temporary permit as of yet.
So this today is just for the car show?
So this is just an ordinance that will allow consumption of alcohol on public property. The designation of where that will be is not considered, at least for
It's
the
unclear.
second event.
It's unclear.
Can we make it more clear? Can we clear this up?
Sure.
I think it might not be a bad idea maybe to have a specific area for this. These are family events. I got my grandkids with me and, you know, they're trouble enough.
I don't see a reason why it should be on Main Street.
Yeah, and just because, and I think if that's in a set location, then my grandkids and I don't have to deal with someone that's maybe had one too many. And I think that's reasonable, especially a family event that we kind of just peg it down to where the sales take place. Chief, you might want to weigh in on this in terms of just patrolling the crowd and maybe having consumption of alcohol in a designated area. Does that make things easier for your wife? Or not?
Black and white, yes, but like, what are we trying to, like, I guess, change with the way it was?
So, right now, since we haven't brought a permit to you for consideration, one of the proposed permits was to sell the alcohol in Linear Park, but allow consumption of alcohol along Main Street. Right now, it's not clear with the state whether we can allow that, being a 200-foot buffer from the library and from schools. So we're kind of waiting to see how that pans out.
Mr. Mayor, I might suggest you have our chamber director who's with us, if she's willing, maybe share a couple comments with you. And that's your prerogative whether you want to allow that.
Oh, that's fine. I'm happy to allow it. More communication is better, right?
I apologize for the way I'm dressed.
You are fine.
I'm not dressed up tonight. The idea when I was actually approached by a formal council last year asking if we could open it up to Main Street to allow people to visit the different booths and stuff as they're walking with a beverage. The idea behind that is that it's a 3-hour event. We're not keeping people down in the park for a long period of time where they're consuming more because they're just sitting there drinking, as opposed to they're kind of walking around. They'll maybe get a beverage, walk through the booths, kind of move through the event a little bit quicker or a little more time spending money and not just sitting in one area. That's kind of the idea behind it. Obviously, we are at the mercy of you and we will respect your decision on that, but that was what we were approached with last year, and we actually did that for the Main Street Market in September and also for Christmas on Main Street in December. And I will tell you that our sales were a lot lower for those two events as opposed to if they were sitting in one designated area. But
Mr. Mayor, for the sake of assisting with consensus building, might we ask Angie if the will of the council is to designate a specific area, is that possible, and where would that area be? I understand we have the disc golf tournament for the first market event, so the traditional places where we've created a perimeter will probably be unavailable. Is there an alternative area that is outside of that 200-foot buffer?
we could do the sales where we do Fall Festival on the, I think my directions incorrect here, to the west side of the pavilion where the patio is. That's typically where we set up a beer garden for Fall Fest, with the exception of last year because of the large concert. We could do that even with the disc golf tournament because the pavilion will just be the area where they're getting awards and stuff like that. The other part of that is that we would ask, even if it's not on Main Street, that they would be allowed in Linear Park because we will have the disc golf players and they like to carry their beverages with them as they go from hole to hole like any other golf course. So. But, I mean, we're fine with that if that's what you prefer to do.
I was just talking car show. I didn't think anybody needed to get in their cars and drive home.
Oh, no. And I will add that we make sure that we card absolutely everybody, and anybody that gets a drink has that wristband on, and so even if they are walking around, you'll be able to see who is, has been through and been carded.
My personal conviction is that if we keep it isolated and the people who want to partake can partake and the people who don't want to partake don't have to be exposed, all on Main Street in any of those events, because they're family-friendly events, and, you know, if you want to partake, then there will be areas for that, and if not, then you don't have to be exposed to it necessarily, so it's just.
No, that's not. Any comments and maybe a brief statement, add to that? Or?
Well, yeah, back to that, we definitely but I'm on a diet right now, so.
Well, I guess at this point, my thinking is that let's just try it in an isolated location here for these next couple times, and we're not putting this in stone or concrete, but let's designate an area that's within the boundaries of the 200 feet, and then we'll come back, after these two events, and we can reassess it and move on. So.
Terry, you have the clicker. Do you want to click to the motion, and then we can kind of
Call
work on that a little bit? Thank you.
Thanks.
Why don't you just keep a block,
So,
block here.
Terry
block
and
there.
maybe Ryan, we don't need to amend the ordinance. We just need to work with Angie on the other bit of paperwork to kind of delineate the defined area. Is that correct, Terry and Ryan?
Well, you'll have to waive the restriction in the code for consumption and sale on public property.
Which the ordinance achieves as is.
Correct.
So all we need to do is approve the ordinance, and then we can work at a staff level on the rest of the permitting and delineating the specific area for sales and consumption, correct?
That is probably correct, although, with permitting, there's a two-layer process. There's a state's permit, but then we've got our local permit.
That's what I'm referring to. So if we get the ordinance approved, Terry can work on the state and local
Working with the
permit,
state.
delineating the precise location.
I think so.
Okay. So you don't need to change anything. You can just read that as is, and then Terry, I, and Angie will work on the rest.
Very good. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
I motion that we waive the reading of the ordinance.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to consider the ordinance.
I make the motion to consider the ordinance.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer?
Yes.
And the ordinance 956.
Thank you, Terry. Next batter.
Looking at me now, you might not believe that at one time, I too was a Boy Scout. I was so looking forward to present this fascinating software purpose to those young men. Sorry to have the privilege of seeing that by someone who's gone far beyond where they are now.
We can invite them back or just.
They won't come.
They'll never come back.
we got in a fight at the Wichita School Board when I was there with my troop when I was here. So I was not participating, but so our accounting software system is called the G-Works Simple Accounting System. The city has had the same base platform since, I believe, 2000. And over the years, they've upgraded. Our software we use covers all of these functions of the city. It's all of one big suite package that does everything: accounting, payroll, our general ledger, bank reconciliation. You know, we have over 2,200 utility billing customers. Every single one of them make a payment every single month, and every single one of those payments has to be processed. And they pay with various different methods, and we do it all. And the accounting software we have is able to do that. Well, anyway, it's getting old and antiquated, and it's still based on a physical server that has to back up to every day, which causes errors sometimes, other things. Anyway, in their infinite wisdom, they're finally catching up and going to a cloud-based platform. And so we are going to be asking you tonight if we can pay the cost to do that. I'm not threatening, but if you don't approve this tonight, they're either going to force us to move on to it at some point in the near future when they stop supporting what we currently have, or we could go to a full ERP type system, which when we got a quote for that, I believe in 2019 or 2018, it was going to be over $250,000. So I don't know what it would cost now, but for an additional $4,000 a year, what this will cost us, I think we should. My recommendation is CFO is going to need to do that. So Finance Hub is the cloud-based, web-based platform that will replace all of those functions that we currently do, including the accounting, accounts payable, the bank rec, budgeting, reporting, basically reports we used to spit out for all of our statutory obligations. Again, just much easier to use, cloud-based. There's no need to go through a remote in system like we currently have now. You can just, as long as you have a valid password that, and adequate internet security, you'll be able to access this from anywhere. For staff, for sure. The utility billing hub replaces our current utility billing. It's going to integrate directly with the system called Front Desk, which is the online payment for utility bills that we introduced a couple of years ago that we've got up and running and working excellent now. It'll handle all of our billing, meter management of customer accounts. There's an additional ability for landlords to hold multiple accounts for all properties that they own, and it will produce the same billing reports or in a better format than what we currently are able to do. And again, just the same ease of use, everything's web-based, better security, less errors, easier to update, etc. The only two functions we currently use with that system that will not be able to be upgraded, because they haven't finished those yet, is our municipal court system and the project accounting system. For court management, we'll be able to continue to use what we have now. Kathy will still be using the old system, and eventually they're going to have to replace it. So we will upgrade it at that time. Hopefully, while Kathy's still here to help us through that. She's our bread and butter managing our court. And then the project accounting, which is sort of an add-on to our accounts payable system that basically we're able to track individual expenses by special project. And so we'll be able to still do that with it. It's just it'll be another step just to make sure it syncs up with the cloud-based software. This is just a slideshow that they sent us, kind of showing, their advertisement of what it's going to be, highlighting everything I've already talked about. We already also did purchase the HR and payroll suite, which is going to sort of automate that process. So, we currently have a separate software that we use to do automatic, timesheet management that then we have to move over to our system for payroll. This is all going to be containing the same thing. So that's less work for payroll stuff. It will have ability for citizen engagement, because they'll be able to do more. Basically, the same kind of things they've been able to do with Front Desk is going to be expanded out for their just billing in general, whether they pay from Front Desk or not. Again, so Annual fee, is gonna be $21,000, a one-time $1,000, implementation fee. Essentially what they're doing is they're going to discount us what we already paid, and they'll just charge us the remainder of what it would be for this year, and then we'll start paying that full annual fee next year. Currently, the software cost is not a little over $19,000, so it'll be about $4,500 more than what we're currently paying. And we've anticipated this for several years, so we've already pushed budget authority up for this year's budget to make sure we were able to cover that. It is recommended the City Council approve the purchase and transition to G-Works Finance Hub and Utility Billing Hub with an annual software for license fee of $22,000.
Keeping up with technology. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so I have two more proposals. This is sort of for specific to our debt management process. So this is pretty much me. I'm asking you to help me with these. Debt book and bond link are two, again, web-based management suites. Debt book is more of a something we'll be using at the staff level to manage our debt. Currently, we have 22 active debt issuances, 11 GO bonds, and 11 general obligations and recurring notes. We are going to continue to add more debt issuances as we do things like add additional residential developments. As we add, potentially we'll start using some debt ability to pay for city infrastructure projects, for park projects, and things like that. My point is as we already have a lot in managing 22 individual debt issuances now, just the paperwork alone is not impossible, but it's time consuming and it leaves opportunity for errors to occur. So we would like to introduce Debt Book to help staff manage our debt management. BondLink, on the other hand, is more of an online transparency portal. And so that's going to be something that will be more useful to potential investors and all the regulatory agencies and things that use our, need information about our debt for their purposes as well. As far as the cost of these things, Debt Book is a 3-year contract at $8,000 per year with a year 1 implementation cost of $2,500. And again, I've bumped up our technical services line items in past years to anticipate this kind of management tool becoming available. We're going to actually be getting a 75% discount on that. On the next one, which is BondLink, which is an annual subscription of $2,400. And then they have costs essentially also based on the amount of the issuance. So you see there how those are broken down. And temp notes, those breakdowns of 10 cents per dollar per bond basically for those bonds that would fall within those categories. I doubt we very often have anything over 10 million. So most of them will pay that first level there. But temporary notes have a flat $2,000 per issuance fee, and those will get tapped onto the issuances, so they'll be funded through normal debt, the way we finance other issuance fees. They have a one-time settlement bailout of $21.25, which is a discount from the full price is normally $8,500, and that's how we'll be using those funds, general water, sewer, street, lodges, paying those settlement fees. And again, if you have any questions about either of these, I can go into more detail. We can talk about it later. There's no timeline on this, but it will be supposed to be very helpful in the workload that we have in managing all of our debt. Just for instance, every time we do a new issuance, we are dealing with multiple motions that come before you, and each one of those has an ordinance attached to it. Each one of those has, other things, paperwork that have to be filed and published and everything else. What this allows us to do is put all of that together on essentially on a website where we're able to manage it by issuance. So I click on this bond and all the documents associated with it right there. Kevin will, and our bond counsel, our financial advisor, our auditors will have the ability for themselves to log in and get that stuff. So when the audit comes around and we can't find the whole transcript of 2 of the temp notes we issued last year, but we need to get it to the auditor so we can finish the audit. It'll already be on there because it was loaded on there when we were going through that process initially. And so they'll be able, the auditor will be able to get on the website and get it himself without having to go through us. So this is just a way to manage all of our debt, and as we continue to add more, it becomes more and more crucial that we do it correctly. So.
I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I make a motion that we approve both bonds.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And you got the money, you said, so. we're good.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Item I-9.
Man, City Council, since we don't have I-9 loaded because this is kind of an internal debate that we're just kind of figuring out with related to this project, I do want to invite Harlan Forager, our city engineer, and Ryan Peck, our city attorney, up to kind of discuss this item real quick. If you guys have any questions related to that. I did give them a little bit of a heads up, so it's not like I just now sent it. I did tell them,
Very little.
I told them about 20 minutes ago they were going to come up and talk. So, basically, Big Arm Development is off of 23rd, 199. There's a gas line that cuts through it. The gas company wanted an encroachment agreement from the developer. Now, the developer and the engineering firm said that since what's cutting across the pipeline is a street and a sidewalk, it's being dedicated to the city should sign the encroachment agreement. There are some legal questions about Kansas tort law, about whether or not this is going to waive, this encroachment agreement will waive any provisions of Kansas tort law. And there was also some provisions in there about relocation of the line if it would cause any particular issues related to cost, if the city's going to have to incur the cost if they wanted to relocate the line. Having spoke with Robert Kuykendall, I'll just read verbatim what he said. He said, Micah, this provision is a bit unclear for Article 6. Generally, the city must compensate an owner for rights taken. If placing the road and sidewalk here requires relocation of the pipeline, then the city has taken property of a value approximately equal to the cost of relocating the pipeline. If it is unclear if this will be necessary, this provision allows the city to escape a present expense, instead substitutes an agreement to pay later. If it ever becomes necessary, all of the language gives a lot of discretion to the pipeline in determining necessity and what relocation would require. That discretion is limited by an implied obligation of good faith that requires the pipeline to act reasonably. All in all, I think this provision is acceptable. Prior to that, he also agreed with the encroachment agreement after there were some provisions added in there. He added in some additional language that the pipelines agreed to on behalf of the city, saying that it would not waive Kansas tort law, that all the provisions are considered reasonable and adequate. I do have Harlan's statement regarding proper construction agreements and encroachment, and I will now defer to Harlan and Ryan immediately recuse myself.
Where's this? Give a.
This is the Big Arm Development off of 123.
Have a.
No, since this was discussed, we were originally going to waive it, put it on to the April 15th meeting, but since this will help expedite the process, we went and asked for you guys to put it on for tonight, just so if there's any questions related to it, we can discuss it. If agreed upon, then the mayor can sign the contract on behalf of the city for the encroachment agreement. But just to release any sort of uncertainty or unease or anything related to that, since there's so many emails flying back and forth, I wanted to go ahead and read what Robert Kuykendall said. And since Harlan and Ryan are here, if you guys have any questions related to them about best practices for construction on approaching a pressurized gas line and legal ramifications or consequences, or covering the city with Kansas tort law, and Ryan Peck is here as well.
Micah, why don't you pull the aerial up while these guys...
I can't do that here. That would have to be a Sarah thing. Sarah, can you pull the aerial up?
Shouldn't they have it?
Is it just in the item 9 on the
Yeah,
agenda?
there might be a map in there, or you can go to mobile land records.
Google Earth.
Yeah, mobile land records would show where the pipeline is.
So the reason that we wanted to tack this on the end of the meeting is because they're wanting to start paving next week. Now, that's not our problem. My
quoting my father.
Yeah, but we like to play well with others and help
They bought the
facilitate
land,
things.
right? They bought the piece of land, right?
Yes.
They know there's a pipeline on it,
Yes.
right? I mean, how is that our problem?
It's not our problem, and my assumption is when they dedicate the road to us, that would run with it. So really, this is a form and fashion type of issue that for some reason they brought up to us. My issue with it, and then I'll let the experts speak to it, is the city has the ability to make them move things with their own forces and funds, and I'm concerned, without having more discussion with the attorneys, that this agreement could nullify our ability to do those things and perhaps make us liable for future expense if they felt like the pipeline needed improved or replaced, etc. I don't want us to be stuck paying for remediating the surface if they've got to go in and work on that pipeline. Maybe it's not a concern, Ryan. I mean, what's your perspective? And sorry for making sausage during the meeting. That's never a
That's
goal.
all right. We'll make it work here. I mean, in reading through the email exchange, it looks like the way this could be an issue is the pipeline company is governed by federal government and federal regulations. Right now, the pipeline is deep enough that we can pave over the top of it, no problem. But if the federal government were to change those regulations and require the pipeline to be buried deeper, then under the agreement, it looks like the obligation, the cost would be ours to bear. But that would be I guess the only alternative would be relocating the roadway
At their
to
expense.
not cross the pipeline
Which is impossible.
to eliminate, I mean,
Impossible to relocate that road, because we have to have 2 access points. So this is something, you have to see right here, this is the pipeline right here, this is 23rd. So the pipeline literally cuts through the whole development, from 23rd all the way to 199.
Everybody's known that pipeline is there.
So it'd be really, I mean, at no point could you really interact. You'd have to make the road run something like this, perhaps, and then cut through private property over here. So it's just, that whole,
Or if I could interject, Mike, I
Yeah,
mean, I guess another option would be if the city was going to have to lower these pipeline at an exorbitant amount of cost, we just eliminate that piece of the road and we put a cul-de-sac right here and a cul-de-sac right here, and there'd be no crossing. And then we're clear of them. I mean, not ideal, but I think that the situation is here, they have an easement that goes back to the 1930s. We received a right-of-way dated 2024, so those easement rights predate our right-of-way, and so we're a bit at their yeah, the terms of that easement. And the reason it came to the city is because the developer dedicated the right-of-way to the city.
right. So then it becomes our problem.
Becomes owned, the crossing now is owned by the city.
and we own the land before we sold it to the developer.
Isn't there a street
I think I
in
have.
the Auburn Hills or someplace where they didn't pave it? And it's kind of a, you've got a grassy lawn basically to your driveway.
I don't know if this is new practice, but obviously the line is not just right here. This line runs down further and then up into Wichita.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
I'm just
sure.
saying.
I'm not
And
sure how.
truth be
Seems
told,
to be a break
there's 4 pipelines in there, and they said at the meeting, there's 500 PSI. So these are high pressure pipelines. And that's why the degree of caution, I guess, here by the pipeline company.
Maybe we take a couple more weeks. I think I'd like to ask some more questions of our attorneys. And that'll be unfortunate for the people who are wanting to go pave the road, but
Well, Craig, they did say you can work on outside the easement, you know, they can continue to address
Okay.
for the other portions of the road and everything. It's just addressing not working in the easement without this encroachment agreement in place. That's, the pipeline company's required with that.
So they can start, just not right
Yes.
there.
Yes, and I believe Pearson's aware of that.
Okay.
We discussed that at the pre-con
And
Friday.
you can see where the lots and blocks are. So you have lots and blocks, this is block B, and these are lots. So, and here's the easement here, this is the building setback. So this portion right here is the easement. So technically, I mean, they could pave like right up to here, Harlan, correct me if I'm wrong, they could pave like right up to here and build all this portion
Right,
out.
right.
And then they can pave up to here and build this
You
portion
just
out.
can't go on the
You
easement.
just can't go in the easement or anything.
We could
You can't work
even,
in the
we
easement.
could
Yeah,
even
work
put
around.
emergency access gate there and kinda do what Harlan says in a different way, but dead in the road and then emergency vehicles can have a little
Through there.
access way. So let's get a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Let's take a motion to, table this for a couple weeks so Greg can investigate this a little bit more.
Yeah, I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
We're
much.
moving along. I'd rather wait 2 weeks and get it right.
All of it. 1930s, I believe. 1930s, I believe. That's when the pipeline was installed, is what it was. So they're both-
City Administrator's Report.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, thank you for indulging my city administrator's report as we conclude our evening together. Street projects left for bid. Future Construction submitted the low bid for street improvements on 2nd Street from Main to 199th Street West, as well as the US 54 400 North Frontage Road reconstruction from 199th West to Barber Drive, and asphalt mill and overlay improvements for the US 54 North Frontage Road from Barber Drive East, approximately 1,900 linear feet, as well as Walnut Street, 23rd Street to Linear Trail, and 2nd Street from Walnut Street to Main Street, and lastly, Winterset Circle and Seasons Edition, all in Goddard, Kansas. We are looking to receive some additional bids for some additional road work because of what those bids came back as far as the cost and remaining budget. So our Public Works Director, Brooke, who can be here tonight, he's gathering estimates along with our City Planner 1, Tina, to get a couple more road projects lumped in, and we will request expenditure authority for all of these roadway related projects at the April 15th council meeting, assuming we have all of our bids back. So we need a lot done as far as road work is concerned this year, so pretty exciting time. The Grand Pedestrian Bridge, last Friday, Trans-System submitted the grant application for funding the bike ped bridge overpass US 54 and connect the walking paths along the north and south frontage roads between 199th and 183rd. The awards will be announced in July. Stormwater assessment, this one's been on here for a few weeks now. We had more in-depth staff discussion about it today. We're still waiting on a couple more bids for addressing these hotspot areas as far as the stormwater is concerned. We're also working on an annual stormwater system maintenance program, very similar to our annual sewer maintenance program, where we clean out a fourth of the sewer mains annually. We'll do something similar with the stormwater system. So one of the things that we're kind of working through, which has been delaying this a bit, is we don't have great maps for our underground stormwater system for any of the developments that are older than 15, 20 years. So we're considering bringing in an intern who specializes in GIS software and some of those things to help us with the mapping. We really need to have that mapping to be able to put together the stormwater annual maintenance program, get the fee adopted, and get the annual projects in place that we want. So I'm hopeful that we'll be up to April 15th, maybe the first council meeting in May, but I want you guys to know we're working diligently on getting that taken care of. Spring rains are coming, folks will be back in here when it rains heavy, but we are working to get this moved through the paces, so we appreciate patience. I want to say patience again on the community center. I got an update there. There are a few loose ends to tie up. The audio-visual equipment, blinds, internet, security for the auto remote locking mechanisms. We got a couple of doors to replace, some chairs and tables to purchase, and then we're gonna get some decorative sound absorption wall art. That way, when we get a big old party in there, it's not echoing as bad. If you've been in there recently, when they removed the ceiling and such, kind of created a little bit of an echo issue. So, plus it'll make the walls look nice and kind of pretty it up even more. We will make registration live for civic organizations beginning Monday, May 6th, and for the broader community on Monday, May 20th. We will be reaching out to our civic groups to let them know what that means for them, so we can communicate appropriately and everyone can dress confidently that their events will be reserved adequately. The North Park. So the committee met Wednesday, March 27th to interview the top-ranked firm. I'll remind you, we had 7 highly competitive proposals from well-equipped architectural and engineering firms throughout the region. The cream rose to the crop, and we interviewed the winning firm last Wednesday, and they are currently drafting a contract for design and project management. Once we get that from them, hopefully this week, we'll kick it over to our esteemed legal team who will give it a review. The first contract, we suspect there will be multiple. This is going to be a 10-year ordeal. We want this to be the best park project in the region. We want people to travel in to come see it. We don't expect to be able to do the whole ball of wax all at once. So this first contract that we'll look at will be to finish the conceptual design for the entire North Park master plan. That master plan is kind of that 10-year vision, and then completing the schematic design for phase 1 of the project. So that contract with the winning architectural firm should be presented on April 15th. If not, it'll be the first Monday in May. 183rd Turn Lanes project. There's been a lot of progress in our community this last couple weeks. So on Friday, and the only reason we didn't include it in this agenda packet, it came a little late, but KDOT submitted a draft contract for the construction on the 183rd Turn Lanes project. It's currently under legal review. We anticipate bringing this to City Council for approval during the next council meeting on April 15th. The water pressure mall work order with PEC, Harlan Foraker, our city engineer, provided review and comment. We kicked that back to them about a week or 2 ago. They are undergoing a review, then PEC will spin that back to us, and we'll see if we're ready to bring that to you guys as well. There's lots of demand pressures in our community with our residential growth. When I say demand pressure, I don't mean in the sense of water, just demands on our public infrastructure as a whole. This contract will help us address any water pressure issues we could have in the future with the developments on the periphery of our community. The Rural Water District 4 cross connection agreement, we believe that we have that contract pretty much in final form. Their attorney agrees, with the exception of the all-important rate with which we would like to have in there for the cost of buying some water from them. So we're close, so we're going to get there. And I anticipate that we'll have that to you by the end of spring. So we received the latest draft from their attorney last Friday. Park improvements, I won't get too into the meat of this one. I spoke on it last week. Matt and I had a little conversation about budget for this item. We've had a couple of good areas of progress with it. The designer of the inclusive play equipment kicked back a concept plan. They're working on getting final costs to us. The lighting project on the west leg of the Linear Park Trail, we've had some positive developments there. We were originally really scared of the cost. Now we've had some conversations with Evergy, and that's looking a little better for us. So we'll be bringing that to you soon. The R-Cut changeover. We've seen a lot of commentary on the social media airwaves and elsewhere on the R-Cut. So we provided a handsome document that you can find near the front door that really articulates the ways and means that folks will progress through the traffic control when the R-Cut is complete. We also shared that with Times Sentinel. We'll get that on our socials as well. And Chief and I will talk about having some additional police presence the first few days that that's open, make sure that folks are getting through there and kind of learning how all that's going to work. So I would encourage you to grab that packet and take a look at it. It's 3 or 4 pages long, and it really kind of puts in layman's terms how that R-Cut's going to work. Community development. Micah He was really excited last week. He went into the weekend, Easter weekend, just elated. He was hopping out of the office because in March, 26 new residential construction permits were pulled, collecting over $132,000 in fees and over $6 million in valuation for our community. What a big month. And that's just the beginning of the year, first month of spring, so that's really exciting stuff. Future agenda items, I mentioned we'll have the street contract over, the North Park contract over, reducing speed on Walnut. We've had a lot of back and forth about that the last few weeks. Harland sent the last email, and so ball's in my court right now. I think we've got a solution there. The RHID public hearing, we recessed that to the next council meeting. We'll consider adopting that ordinance that takes care of a whole lot of the paperwork to get that project finally kicked off. The turn lanes agreement will be up next meeting. The water pressure model I mentioned, still working on code of meeting procedure and governing body manual. Michael will have the Arbor Creek South plat, the Evening Shade plat, the Maple Tree Development preliminary discussion at Planning Commission will happen Monday. We'll do a little bit of that at this level here coming up soon, as well as considering ratifying the Willow Development rezoning should the amendment occur at the Planning Commission meeting on Monday evening the 8th, which will be here at City Hall at 7 p.m. With that, I will cede my time.
Thank you, Craig. You're starting to read as fast as Mike.
You know, you try
You're about half a notch slower than that.
I'm striving.
You're getting close.
More caffeine.
Council comments, Krista?
Wow, there's a lot of exciting things happening. Looking forward to the car show on Saturday. Just again, appreciate the staff and all of the preparation that you bring to us. Yeah.
Mr. Trailer, how many cars you showing this weekend?
Only two.
Only two.
Yeah, so that's right. The Goddard Lions car show's here. I'm excited. You guys excited? But I guess Pathway's gonna have a car show coming up too.
Yes.
Yep. And then anyway, that's all.
All right. Appreciate all the work the staff is doing. We're in a process right now, Craig and the staff, of working on expanding plans. When Craig mentioned the park here being a 10-year project. So we're trying to look at things maybe in a lot longer view than we have in the past, which includes infrastructure, water, sewer, streets, parks, gas lines. That's a new one that should dropped in there. But I think it's important for the community to know that there's probably greater effort being made right now for the planning of things that are going to happen in this community in the next 5 to 10 years, and hopefully with the decisions and the work we're doing right now, we can lay out a plan to follow that'll make Goddard the city that we want it to be, a community that has great parks, streets that are well maintained, infrastructure, water, sewer, all those, the things that nobody sees, that nobody cares about until they don't work. But I think there's some really hard work being put in right now to try to look at things in the longer term so that we're not being managed or being forced to do things because of the growth that's occurring, but we're going to manage that growth, and the city's going to develop in a way that makes sense for the whole community. So I'm encouraged by those things. I've mentioned the numbers 42 and 31. 31 is the basic mill levy of our community. 42 is the basic mill levy for maize. These things aren't gonna happen for free. But we're gonna have to decide as a community, you know, what we wanna do and how we pay for it. And, but it's an exciting time. The fact that we have a low mill levy gives us some opportunity. And I think part of the reason, you know, we're kind of behind on street maintenance is because we haven't appropriated enough funds for street maintenance over time. So, we're doing a little catch up with some of those things. But I think, I mean, if you think about it, if we have a 9-acre park north of the highway, Tanganyika, the Genesis complex, a bridge going across Kellogg, signage on Main Street, signage on the highway pointing where Main Street is. These things are being talked about, we're working on. Things are gonna happen. You know, city government just doesn't move as fast as you'd like to think it would move. So I just covet everybody's patience with us. Understand that we're really interested in input. We want to know what people think. That's part of the reason why I put together a mayor's advisory council, so that we can receive feedback and get input from the community. We don't want to operate in a vacuum and blind as we sit up here, not understanding what the community wants and needs. So I think we want to be responsive to those things. We have a tremendous opportunity. We can manage that growth, or the growth can manage us. And it's my sincere belief that we can manage this growth to make Goddard a great place to live and have great amenities and things for our citizens. So that's my 2 cents for the evening. I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Oops.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed.